That mindset has totally driven me through my whole musical career.
Mhm.
But what's really good about that mindset is that it's totally scalable.
What's good, everybody? Scoobert Dubert here, about to be joined by Harry Terrell, a drummer, producer, multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, chef, and tall guy based in the Los Angeles area. He is the drummer for Still Woozy, touring around the world. He also has an incredible band called The Breathing Effect and makes music under his name as well. I love this conversation because he's one of those music people that understand how it works end to end, every step of the process. And regardless if he's doing the whole thing or just doing his role within the broader production, like, touring drummer, he is there for the collaboration. He's there to make everybody else's life easier and have a two-way conversation. I think that's really important, really refreshing, and a great thing for musicians to make the best possible music that we possibly can make. And then for music fans, I think that helps me love music more too, is just thinking about how much goes into it, how much love, how much community goes into making these records and these live performances happen. And I think you'll enjoy this conversation too. Before we get into it, I'd like to introduce our title sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists get to keep 100% of royalties and earnings. You can get 30% off if you sign up with our code at distrokid.com/VIP/lovemusicmore. You're the VIP, get your 30% off. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music onto Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all of the major streaming services. DistroKid app is now available on iOS and Android, so go to the app or Play Store to download it. It's one of my favorite things about it, is I can check my royalties, withdraw to my bank account on the go, and then I don't miss a beat. Just like Harry. Harry does not miss a beat. So let's throw it over to him. I hope you enjoyed the episode. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Love Music More. I am Scoobert Dubert, and I am joined with Harry Terrell. What's up, Chef Harry T?
What's going on? Happy to be here with you, Scoob.
I'm so excited to talk to you because I was just listening to your latest single, and I was thinking a lot about drum tone and where we're at in 2025, and just how you were nailing this human touch to the instrument that I think is finally coming back around in a really big way. So I'm just excited to talk to you about Drum Kit, about the evolution of your career, about all of the people that you work with, which is an incredible community, and yeah, get to the end of it, and hopefully the guests love music more at the end of it too.
Sweet, I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So yeah, I think that's where my first question would be, like, where do you think drums are at? Where do you think, like, the musical vibe out there in the ethos, where it's sitting, and like, how are you trying to and actively contributing to the direction that music's going?
Oh man, well, that last part you might have to answer for me. But
Yeah.
I guess I'll first start by saying that even though it's on the surface of things, it sort of feels like there's this AI drum machine samples takeover. I still feel like drums are very alive and well. Just in LA alone, I mean, there's so many amazing drummers doing very, very cool, inspiring stuff. So many producers that just jump to the Splice library, as quick as they possibly can. But I mean, I include myself in this, but the use of electronics and samples and sort of new like methodologies of recording drums, producing drums, whatever, I think has the like combination of technologies available, I feel like has sort of allowed for some very cool new techniques and things that people are trying that I've heard. I don't know. It's so hard to say right now because everything is like the music industry, the world is everything is so in flux right now that I don't really know what the like future of drumming looks like. But I feel like even though everything is so messed up, it's like people are still constantly searching for new sources of inspiration and new approaches. I guess as far as what I'm doing, I mean, I'm mostly inspired by 70s golden age of recording, kind of drum tones. Then also like sampled J Dilla style hip hop drums, kind of newer golden age of recording, almost like whatever 2010s and kind of this combo of like lo-fi and hi-fi, and everyone's looking for like the fattest kick drum, you know, like some stuff like Tame Impala's Currents, you know, that kind of drum sound that like very much permeated like indie music producer tone choices. So yeah, I would say those are kind of things that I absorb into and then have put into my workflow, you know, like the use of like cassette and recordings, especially with drums, and like how dead to make the drums, how much breathing room you want the drums to have, you know.
So
Uh,
I think those are cool things to dig into a little bit because some people might just hear it and be like, sounds cool. Sounds like now. Sounds vibey. They might not be perceiving like dead amount of reverb and things like that. Like, how do you go about it? What does that actually look like for somebody that maybe has never been inside of a recording studio? Like, how are you having that as an end goal and actually like getting there with mic placement or plugins or gating or like what you up to?
a huge thing for me that I got to shout out my OG drum teacher Dan Schnell, because I'm at this point in my ethos, I'm still all about just like getting it as close as possible at the source. First things first, you know, tune the drums up and make sure that with the microphone, because the microphone is just capturing the air that you're making by hitting the drum, right? So if you can get the hit right, then it makes it a lot easier on the microphone. So yeah, I got to shout out Dan Schnell for teaching me how to tune drums properly. Then once you kind of get the drums, for me, once I get the drums at like the pitch that I want them, or sort of like almost like, I don't want to say genre specific, but like style specific. You know, if I'm like going for like a kind of like Motown sounding break or something, like I'll start with the drums. I'll be like, okay, which, because I have like 5 kits, you know, like, okay, which kit is going to get me to that sound that I'm looking for as quickly as possible, like from the get go, instead of like trying to transform, you know, something else into what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a good like a. I feel like there's a good food analogy or something
Mm.
where it'd be like,
Like going from the sauce versus like the ingredients or something maybe.
yeah, or like if you want to make like a nice fresh salad, you know, you got to get the right kind of lettuce to start, you know.
Yeah.
Depends what you like. If you don't like, if you're trying to make like a Caesar salad, but you bought like arugula, like it's going to be a different thing, you know. And then I'll use a various array of tools and like kind of garbage and like old clothes and random shit that I have to, and also like moon gels. And there's like a couple like very drummer products that I have that I use to like basically reduce overtones that are building up in certain ways that I don't like, or things ringing out that I really do like every part of the music process for myself, at least, also for other people, but for myself, I do it all. And so like when I'm like, I know that, oh, when I did that one mix on that one song where I didn't think about this early on, it was a pain in the ass later.
Yes.
So now I'm like, get ahead of it. So when I get down the line, I'm like making it easier on myself. It's like, what's the sound I want? What do I want it to sound like in the end? And like
Mm-hmm.
starting
Mm-hmm.
somewhere that will help me later.
I actually think that's one of the things, like going back to that first question, helps me define where we're at musically right now. Is I think there are more musicians that think like that than ever before because
Totally.
we all have to wear different hats. Everybody's mixing, everybody's doing everything just because you have to,
Absolutely.
and it's also fun. Like we can, like those things I think used to be so reserved for the people like in like literal white coats, and now it's so democratized to the extent where yeah, we all know what it's like to have a snare drum that just can't sit in a mix,
Mhm.
or you're like having to fight between two extremes where you're like wanting to gate things because they're ringing out too much, but at the same time you're losing like ghost notes, or you're losing some of the vibe and the dynamics. And then when you have a whole bunch of people in a room or a bunch of people working on an individual track that all have that individual experience, it's pretty powerful, and I think it overcomes some things of the past.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've been noticing that more and more recently. I mean, it's like everyone I meet that is like keeps themselves inspired and busy and just like excited about what's going on. I feel like they do so many people do so many things. It's like, oh yeah, I like direct music videos, but I'm also like an artist, and I also like do lights, and I also like work at this shop, and I like, or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like everyone is just, yeah, hats and people who are recording and producing and mixing and mastering, and also like started a label, and like it's just like everyone is doing so much stuff right now, which is obviously like a product of like extreme hyper capitalism,
Yeah.
and like the cost of living has increased, and like the attention span of the entire ether of humans is like shortened like so many times over that it's like you have to be doing all this stuff to like stay tapped into like a culture that's
Yeah.
moving so fast.
Yeah.
So
I'm also super curious too, because like when I was touring more, my life was so up and down based on like if I had a tour or and then I was like trying to figure out other things from teaching to recording or whatever to like create some sort of floor in my life, so it wasn't like I made no money this month. What is it like as a touring musician now in terms of like you have your own project, you have your duo, you have session work and touring, and like how do you juggle all of that? How do you prioritize things, and how has it changed maybe pre versus post pandemic?
sure, yeah. Pre-pandemic was, I mean, look, the answer is there's no way around the instability, right? It's
Yeah,
just
right.
like the way that it is that it's just you're a freelancer, right? So
Right.
it's like the work comes and then it goes, and then more work comes and then it goes. But it's also like at the same time, and I try not to make myself feel too sterile, but
Hmm.
there's a certain degree to which you have to think of yourself like as a business, right? Which like nobody wants,
Yeah.
no one is excited, no artist is excited about doing that, but it's like, you kind of have to. And so it's like the for me it is absolutely whiplash every time I'm like touring and I'm back.
Hmm.
There's a momentum whiplash, because it's like when you're touring, it's like, especially at like a certain level, it's you have to be here at this time and here at this time, and everyone shows up to do their job, and it's like it's this weird mix of, you're obviously in a different place every day, and there's different settings and different surroundings, but it's pretty much a routine, like to a certain degree. So there is a routine, but it's also, you're not in your own space, so your nervous system is sort of like always activated. So then that whole thing sort of entirely flips, where all of a sudden your surroundings are the same every day, and they're familiar and comfortable, but then you don't have the routine. So a few things for me that have really like helped to keep my head on straight is doing what I can to keep the momentum going. Like, like sometimes that involves like not really telling people that I'm gone, so that they don't really know. So that
Yeah.
when I get back, it's like I kind of was never gone,
Hmm.
which that one doesn't really work, but I've tried it. But yeah, like trying to set up sessions for when I'm home, and even if it's like, to me it's like, yes, musicians should high value offering to the world and should be paid for that and whatever, but it's also like, if there's something I want to do just to keep my momentum going, I'm not really like trying to hammer out the rate, you know what I mean? I just
Yeah, I
want
know what you mean.
to keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
And you never know where anything leads. That's another thing. It kind of goes back to the like thinking of yourself as a business. Like,
Hmm.
you have to put in sweat equity into your
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
which has been a huge thing for me. And so many things that I've done for no money, or because they seemed exciting, or because I don't know, whatever, I was interested, money aside, have led to things that were good for my business, down the line. And so I really try to just kind of take it one punch at a time and just be like, do I want to do this, like, period? And kind of, if the answer is no, no matter what the price tag is, I'm kind of out. And if the answer is yes, no matter what the price tag is, then I'm probably. Another thing is the actual like personal wellness stuff, like making sure I'm not eating like shit while I'm traveling, trying to keep up some sort of stretch slash yoga routine, which is really hard to find the time for. But when I do, then I get home and I already know what to do with my morning. It's like I'm not I'm not like being like, oh, why do I feel so weird? It's like,
Mm.
yeah, keeping some semblance of the home routine on the road has helped me a lot. And you do, you can. It's like you can't do it all. You can't always. At the end of the day, it's like, if there's not enough time to sleep, there just isn't enough time to sleep, and that's, you just go, and then you can recharge. You'll be able to recharge.
And I really like that concept of momentum
Yeah.
with as much balance as you can, like centering yourself as much as you can on that, like, because like momentum can come both ways. You can have momentum for eating poorly, like for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. The more days in a row that I eat out, the more that my brain is like, I need like more salt, fat, sugar. It
Interesting.
just starts like looping
It
in
like
that direction.
compounds on itself.
Exactly. I start to crave those things, and I'm like, whoa, I gotta like bring it back. But same thing with like actually getting work and staying in it and like having the emails coming in and stuff like that. I've had moments where they just dried up,
Right.
and you have to create your own again, otherwise it just won't come back.
And a big thing for me as well is not waiting around
You're
for
cool.
that
Yeah.
stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, of course the emails are going to drive someone. There's going to be a month where no one has stuff that they want you to be doing. So it's
Yep.
like you wake up on Monday with no plans. It's like, okay, do I just sit around and wait all day? Well, no. It's what am I inspired to do that would also maybe be like productive for my own well-being, my business, whatever.
What's good, guys? Scuba Dubert here for the Love Music More podcast, and I want to let you in on a little secret. One of my favorite new things, Minuendo lossless earplugs. So these are really, really, really cool. I've got 2 of them here. It comes in this awesome sweet box, but it comes with a bunch of little goodies like carrying case, tether, cleaning tools. But the real tech is in these little tiny lossless earplugs. My favorite thing about it is, one, you can swap out any of the included tips. So depending on the size of your ear canal, we're all built different. You can get a nice, comfortable fit. But there's also this little lever on these adjustable versions that can go from 7 to 25 decibels of cutting. So depending on if you're listening to new metal or jazz, you can just hit the little lever and adjust in real time. And I think that's really, really cool. You know, for the longest time, I was listening in those awful foam earplugs, and it makes the music sound like that. It just cuts off all of those high frequencies. And so I was always tempted to sneak them out a little bit. Oh, it's my favorite song, no earplugs. And then you get hearing damage. You have tinnitus after the show, and then you come back, you want to work in the studio, and guess what? Your ears aren't right. And that's why I love Minuendo, because you can just pop these in and have full fidelity with these lossless earplugs. There are 2 different versions. One is adjustable with the little lever, and then this one is fixed at 17 decibels. So check out Minuendo, Minuendo.com, or you can search them on Amazon and find Minuendo earplugs today. Get cracking.
I just finished up, or I'm almost finished up with a solo record, which has basically been something I've been working on for years and have like, I sort of fell off. This sort of happened to me where like the momentum on it kind of stopped.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to find it again. And like sort of a year or year and a half where I was really busy with other stuff went by where I didn't even think about the solo stuff. I like wasn't even, and I would, I'd think like once a month, like, oh man, I wonder how it sounds. Like, maybe I got to get back to that. And then there was a point where I had a couple months free. I was like, let's go. This is the time. Open that shit up. And then all of a sudden, where I had a month free, I think it was like December or January or something like that last year, and I could have woken up and been like, "Oh man, what am I gonna do today?" But instead, it was like, "Okay, opening up that session, got to add this." And then today, it's like, "Oh, now I'm starting. Now that I've given myself enough time to look at this thing as a whole piece, my brain is starting to do the work itself, and I feel the momentum." And then what happened is I had a month of touring at the end of that period, and I totally lost the momentum on it. And I got home and was like, oh, I don't even want to hear that. I don't even know, whatever. And it took me showing it to my friend, who then was like, dude, this is sick. What are you going to do with it? And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to abandon it. He was like, no, dude, you got to finish this.
Yeah.
Like, do you want help? And I was like, I would actually love some help. And so he came over. His name's Landon Fleischman. He's great. He goes by Boy Willows. He came over and just like helped me finish stuff.
Yeah.
And then basically by the end of this one, like this second 2-week period of this year, I was almost done with the record. And he and I wrote a new song together, which was great.
Beautiful. No, it's a beautiful record. I really, really loved listening to it. I'm super excited for everyone to hear it as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm kind of curious what your takes were.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I think that one of the things I found most refreshing in what your work was, and also the breathing effect, was just that feeling of sense of like space, location, trying to find humanity, but not in a way that feels like I don't know, just an outright folk record or something.
Mm,
Like something that still feels like it's in a modern electronic world, but
sure.
I can hear the humans inside of it.
Oh man,
You
I
know?
love that. I love that take. I mean, that is especially specific to the breathing effect, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which for those listening that do not know, the breathing effect is my band with my best friend Eli. Shout out Eli Goss. Different chairs. He's doing some very cool stuff.
And that was the song we were talking about, iPod Dealer.
Yeah, iPod Dealer. So that song just came out 2 days, 3 days ago, 3 days ago, which we're all very excited about. Eli might join us later. I'm not sure, but yeah, we started basically. The breathing effect has been Eli and I for 10 plus years, but then about 2 years ago we started playing with three other people, kind of in a live setting, and started actually doing some writing together, which was one of the first times we had really done that in a band setting, and that was sort of one of the our favorite things that came out of this like jam sleepover weekend that we had as a band.
Beautiful.
And it was something that we totally improvised, and it just sort of came out in like this free jam sort of setting. And yeah, that felt very human. And
Mm.
we've always sort of been, especially Eli is he's very like directed in this kind of esoteric artist way where it's like he's always very much looking for the human sort of distilled version of music where it's like
Mm.
very authentic but also pushing boundaries and also is like of the time but not in a way that's like cliche or something
Yeah.
or
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. I get what you're saying.
um so yeah, definitely that song has like this human element that we
Mhm.
all were like attached to, and we kind of we actually this song we did it in this jam that we wrote it, and then like the next weekend we sort of did another session where we recorded this song, and we did it here in my studio that you can sort of see behind me, and we were working on that for like a month, and then we did a little tour last year, pretty much our first tour ever, which was really really fun, and we were playing that song every night, and the band was getting really tight, and then at the end of the tour Eli was basically like, dude, that it's not right. We didn't recapture it right. It doesn't give the feeling that we are now able to pull out of it
Yeah.
after having played 10 shows where we played
Yeah.
the song.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we all kind of understood the song a little more, and I was actually fighting him at first, which is a huge it's totally our MO is like we make something, I get attached, he's pushing the boundaries and is like, no dude, we have to like try it again, and I'm like, but dude, this thing, and then we sort of end up deciding the way we can do it better, and then we do it together, and then it turns out usually that he's right and we were supposed to do it again, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the one.
Mm.
So yeah, I really appreciate him being able to like push those boundaries all the time. But then the second when we did it after that tour, we basically got back and had like 3 days after we got back from that tour, we recorded the song down in downtown LA with Pat Howard. I don't know if you know Pat Howard
I don't know
from
if I know.
Magic City Hippies.
Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Amazing drummer, producer,
Cool.
engineer, and he's got a sweet studio in downtown LA.
Nice.
And we basically hit him up and we're like, "Yo, dude, can we record this one song with you at your studio?"
Mhm.
He's got a Tascam 388. We did the whole basic tracking straight to his tape machine live, like with no click.
Cool, cool.
Um, and it was an amazing day, and it turned out so great. And then we kept producing it for the next, few months, which is like always hard because Eli's busy with his solo thing. I'm like touring with other artists, so I'm like in and out of town, and we're doing our best to like find the time to do it together, which we've done pretty successfully. I mean, we've been a band for 12 years now,
Wow,
so
cool. Yeah.
it's like it's always like
Right.
this, and the band has transformed many times over and over again. Um, but yeah, we came out with an extremely human
Yeah.
dynamic sort of sounding recording, that I'm really happy with. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever been a part of for sure. So appreciate you listening to it and
Yeah.
picking up on that human vibe.
Yeah, good, good. I'm glad. I also wanted to talk to you about, just like you're saying, coming in and out of the road. I know you play with Still Woozy.
Mhm.
What has that been like? Obviously, like that music absolutely blew up. I'm sure that you've played some incredible rooms. What's that touring experience look like for you?
Oh man, it is truly the greatest job I've ever had.
Awesome.
Amazing crew. Still Woozy. His name is Sven. He's very, very sweet and really talented. It's basically a little family.
Hmm.
Actually, the bass player in the band, who has been in the band since before my time, even they've been playing together a long time. She is actually his sister-in-law.
Oh, really? I didn't
So
know that.
it's truly a family affair.
Uh-huh.
And then the newest member of the band who started playing with us, was that just yeah, I guess just last year. His name's Caleb Buchanan, who I'm pretty sure you know,
Hmm.
maybe.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's me, Caleb, Tani, and Sven is the band, and it's just such a great vibe. Everyone is super nice to each other, and it's just very. It has this family dynamic where it's
Yeah.
like people are not afraid to tell the truth, but it's like we're laughing our asses off all the time,
Uh-huh.
and people are silly, and there's some hard moments, but it's like always touring. There's hard moments, but yeah, it's a great beyond the band. It's also a great crew. We have basically a 10-piece crew
Cool.
total.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the tour manager and our engineers. It's just a great squad. The shows themselves are so fun, though also stressful,
Yeah.
specifically for me.
It
I
seems
mean,
like
maybe for everyone else
you
too,
have a
but
tough gig with this
I got
one.
a bit of a tough gig
Yeah.
because it's like we're not quite at the level where I can have a drum tech, so I'm doing all my own drum teching, but I'm also like there's like backing tracks, so I'm
Mhm.
like also the tracks guy, and so that's all running from my riser, and
Oh,
so
cool. Yeah.
and then I'm also singing background vocals for like
Oh, no
certain
way. I didn't
parts.
know that too. I didn't know that
Yeah,
too.
so and then I
Yeah.
also am triggering all the tracks like during the show, and I have a talkback mic where I'm like telling people stuff. So it's actually when you look at I wish I had a picture to pull up of my space station, but it's basically you're sitting at the drum. And then I also have all these like electronic trigger stuff. Like I have an SPD and like I have a second kick pedal next to my acoustic kick pedal.
Hmm.
It's just an electronic kick
Oh,
pedal.
nice.
So I'm like switching back. It's a very hybrid kit actually, and
Hmm.
it's actually doing this setup has given me a lot of ideas over the past few years to do stuff like this.
Hmm.
Because basically what happened is I started playing with Still Woozy in 2021, and pretty much what happened is they were just like learn all the songs, and I was like, wait, but there's all these samples. What are we gonna? And then I talked to the engineer guy at the time who sent me some samples, and I kind of built my own little hybrid kit where there's like the SPD, but there's also an electronic kick pedal with the SPD, but then there's also these triggers to have like layers on a bunch of the drums.
Yeah, cool.
And so like each song has like a different kit and every song sounds different, and then the kit changes with the MIDI playback. So it's like it's all pretty automated. But
Sweet. Describing your space station and just kind
yeah,
of the
yeah.
different
So
hats you have
when
on.
you if you like POV look at my space station, it's like drums and electronics, and then it's like my vocal. It's like this. It's like my vocal mic is here, and my talkback is like over here, and the talkback's on a switch, so I have to remember to like turn it on and off. So I'm like back and forth to like sing and then like say shit to the band, and then like over off to the left is like the whole tracks situation. So yeah, it's definitely a little stressful, especially when it's like now at this point we've done so many shows that it's like
Yeah.
very ingrained, but
Mhm.
especially in the beginning I was like, okay, hope this works out. But I actually really like my role because it's sort of like one foot in the crew as well.
Oh,
So
cool.
like
Yeah.
I'm talking to our engineers a lot about like if this sound has too much of this, or if like it's possible to do this, or if it makes more sense to change this thing.
I've got some big news, everybody. My vinyl record is out. We didn't make a ton of these, so these guys are going to sell out, and I would love for you to get your hands on one of them because they're so dope. They're so dope. And it comes with a whole bunch of like liner notes and pictures and special stuff, the things that really went into making this record. And I want you to get your hands on it. So go to scoobertdubert.pizza or check out my Instagram for a link, or click the link in the show notes or the bio or wherever you're watching this to pick up your copy. they're going to sell out. We really did not make very many of these, and I want you to have it. It's like a collector's item. So thank you for supporting my music, and I can't wait for you to hear it actually on physical vinyl. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
There's been times where, like, if they're having trouble because of a weird sounding room, I'll like boost or cut something on the electronic stuff, or I'll cut a cymbal, or whatever. I mean, that whole kit has given me a lot of ideas, like to do stuff with Ableton where you're like using audio to trigger electronic drum layers, which kind of goes back to the first thing we were talking about how like now there's technology that allows for, or like, I don't know if you can see, I have this electronic drum kit set up.
I see. Yep.
Which, like, I don't use for the sounds that are in there. I just use it as a MIDI controller.
Cool.
And so I have a bunch of drum kits, like drum racks in Ableton, that I'm like controlling with that as a MIDI controller to sort of like give it this human feel, so it doesn't just feel like I'm like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
So like I can play it, like I can really play into the effects too, which is one of my favorite things,
Yep, I totally know.
Playing with Still Woozy has been really, really good for me for like a lot of reasons. But I mean, I haven't even talked about the shows are so fun. Mostly because, well, the music is great. I love the music. It's especially great for my like drumming style too. I just kind of fit right in. And Sven is really cool about, like, he has really good taste, and if ever I'm overplaying, he'll say like a little, like, maybe we could chill this out, we could try this here. But basically, he kind of lets me have free reign, and I kind of just play because I already play in a very similar style, complementary to his music.
Yeah.
So it was like a really good fit, and he just brings the energy. He is just jumping around, especially him and Tawny and Caleb too. I mean, all of them are just running around the stage and just putting on like such a great show. And the light show is really fun too. And I mean, you obviously have played quite a bit. What you give to the audience is only what they give to you.
Yeah.
It's this very symbiotic relationship where it's like, if they are in it, it energizes you, and you give it right back to them. And at most shows, I would say, that energy is extremely palpable, and so that makes it really, really fun. But yeah, I mean, we've hit some of my absolute bucket list venues in the last year. So that's been
What are some of those? I want to hear.
Red Rocks.
Yes, Red Rocks.
One of my favorites.
Totally.
Both Greek theaters.
Cool.
Which I'm an LA native. I grew up in LA. I grew up going to the Greek theater. I was always like, oh yeah, LA is the one. Berkeley? Who knows about Berkeley? But then I had never been there before. We played the Berkeley one. I was like, oh my God, this one is crazy. And then we played the LA Greek, and it was that same thing in the other direction. The crowd was sort of a very LA crowd. And they were like, a lot of people were kind of crossing their arms and being like, what do you have to offer us? We are the great city of entertainment. Entertain us. Are you not entertained? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was still a really fun show, but I definitely personally had more fun at the Berkeley Greek than at the LA Greek, which I was not expecting at all because I'd been going to LA my whole life. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm. Anyway, yeah, so that was huge. There's a lot of outdoor amphitheaters that we do. I guess that's kind of the size, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
It's
that's nice.
Kind of a little bit bigger than that, like 3,000-4,000 cap theater vibe. The next step is sort of these outdoor amphitheaters where it's like 5,000-6,000 in the summer outdoors, which is like, I mean, come on, what's better than that? Just a couple weeks ago we played. It's called Celebrate Brooklyn.
I love Prospect Park.
I used to live in New York, and I love Prospect Park. It's one of my favorite cities
awesome place
in the States for sure. So yeah, being able to play there was amazing. We played what was it called? O2 Hammersmith in London.
Cool. Wow.
That was a really great venue. Pretty much every venue we play is pretty excellent, because it's like, I don't love when you get up to that giant size, like you're playing arenas or whatever.
Yeah.
None of those spaces that can accommodate that many people are really for music.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like, it's kind of a weird vibe. It's like in a fucking sports stadium or arena or whatever.
I did a hockey arena tour. That was bizarre through Canada.
Dude, I hear those are bizarre. Oh, especially in Canada. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Who were you playing with?
I was playing Doobie Brothers and the opening act too. It was really sick. But it was really funny because I felt like so rock guitar. Like You're in a stadium and you're just like big chords. You're like the nuance and like the funky thing just gets distilled. And you're like, oh, this is how AC/DC happens.
Right. Right. Yeah, the dry you can't achieve. There's a certain amount of like tight
Yeah.
dryness
Yeah.
that you just cannot achieve in certain settings.
Totally. And it's like I've seen Wolfpack in a large venue like that too, and it's very similar. Of like, this is a different band, still great, great, but it was like this is a different genre entirely, just based on sense of space.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Just because of the space itself?
I think it's a lot of factors. I think one of the factors is what you're saying, that feedback loop between audience and artist is like, you're on stage, you're playing a rock concert, and you're not going to be hitting your drums like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's a little bit of it. Some of it too is just like, there's natural reverberance within like the arena or whatever.
Probably musicians are responding to that as well, right?
Right.
Like,
true.
They're trying to play to that then changes the music in a way that maybe suits the venue better, but it changes the chemical makeup of the music itself.
Right. And nothing wrong with it. It's just, it is kind of fascinating to just see. And like a good example is I saw Thundercat in a large space like that, and the band just did not adapt whatsoever. Just was the exact same thing. And then I saw Thundercat in like a tight, dry, bass-heavy theater, and it was like, that was the best. The outdoor giant festival experience. It was just a bunch of like, you know, like I couldn't make out the cursive lettering, so to speak, you know?
Right. Yeah. That is tough. I feel like there's so many little subgenres that are so hot, have been so hot for the past 5 years, that really sort of require this like tight kind of dry thing, that it's interesting to see like some of this make it to, you know, the big pop level, and be like, yeah, you can't, you know, you got to change something.
Totally. And it's fascinating to see the things that have to change and the things that don't. Like Billie Eilish, I think, is a good example of like bedroom pop goes stadium. They've done a good job of like, the live shows still rip. They're really cool. Slightly different, but just, I think you need really good engineers on that stuff too, just to make it work. Otherwise, like if I'm playing at like my own music, which I don't have a front of house person, it's hard for me to hear when I'm singing. It's like everything's a new adventure. Something's gonna go wrong. Nobody else is there to fix it.
Go up to sound check.
I do, but then it all changes.
Yeah, right. I know it's tough. It's tough when you can't depend. That is a huge pleasure of the Still Woozy crew.
Yeah.
I know that even if it's like a festival and we only have a little time to change over, I know that like our monitor engineer Mike, who's my fucking boy, Mike Reyna, I know he is just going to have the ears just right. And I mean, sadly, I'll never get to hear the show from front of house.
Right.
I'll be playing it, but I know that our front of house engineer, Alice, who's awesome, is going to absolutely crush it every night. So it's like so nice to know that. And if I drop a stick, I know our stage tech, Liz, is there to be like, you know, dude, here, you know, like, I'm like, I'm so happy I can yell into the talkback mic and be like, yo, this is broken. And so someone can help, you know, because when you're playing, and look, you know, I'm saying all this stuff about this big touring act, but it's like, I've been in LA for the last week now between stuff. And I played like a house show and a DIY show, you know, and it's like, it's obviously not like that.
Yeah.
You show up and you get a little sound check and maybe your band shows up, but usually they can't. So it's like, okay, we'll just hope for the best. And you hope for the best. And it's like usually fine, but it's like sometimes it's a disaster and you kind of move through that.
Totally.
But so that's why it's such a pleasure to have that stuff. I'm no stranger to the, you know, to deal with it yourself, but it is such a pleasure to have people, because it's like this stuff is so important too, like we're saying, right? It's like if we're on in-ears, I'm not going to play the same way for the audience unless I can hear how the microphones are like responding to what I'm doing, especially with drums. It's so tactile, you know, and it's really a lot in the drummer, I think, like as far as like tone goes and stuff. It's like obviously you need to spend time tuning and getting the sonics right and the miking or whatever, but it's like good drummers know how to pull sound out of the drums in a way that people who are not good drummers do not know.
Definitely. I think that's one of the things that drummers is probably the most, but I think that's one of the things that separates that good to great kind of musician, instrument agnostic, of like you put some bit of like cheaper kit in front of somebody else and they can figure out a way to make it work. Backline drum kits, that's always a fun thing to see, like 6 different drummers play on the same like crappy drum kit that hasn't been tuned in a bunch of years. You see the guys that are really pro, like, I got that, I'm gonna put the moon gel here, and like, okay, it works. It's fun. It's fun for me.
I've found little drummer tip.
Ready?
Drummers listening. The thickness of the cloth that you use is very important to how to deaden and dampen the sound. I found that specifically bandanas or like tea towels or like really thin like old jersey shirts are that's kind of the right thickness.
Okay.
Then I bring these little tiny binder clips.
Ooh.
Like if I'm ever playing a house kit, I bring a whole set of various torn up cloths and bandanas of the right thickness, a bunch of little binder clips, and then I'll basically fold them up into like a like a hippie looking bandana kind of shape, and I'll put them over the edge of the drum. Like I'll sort of cut off like what's that shape? I'll do like a protractor shape,
Yeah.
and then I'll binder clip them.
Yeah.
Right where I feel like the overtones are really ringing out.
Yeah.
And so that, in my opinion, is you can kind of get a better range of tones than you can with the moon gels.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can just stuff them in your pocket, and
Smart.
it's easy. Moon gels, they get all gross. They
do. They do get gross.
Great, get all over everything. It's kind of gross. But yeah, binder clips and bandanas, boys.
Yes. Well, I think that's one of the things that studio experience, like wrapping it back around to, like, you're talking about getting the tone back out, and you have to be able to hear it so that you can get the tone back out. And then you're also using that experience of, I've solved this problem a million times in a million different ways. Like, I'm going to put in my Felix bag of tricks exactly what I need to do it as quickly as possible, as DIY as possible, because I know that these are the constraints that I have. Versus if you were like, we're going to practice it, center staging for 2 weeks and dial in the set exactly, you're going to have a completely different mindset.
Well, you know what's really good about that mindset?
Sure.
That mindset has totally driven me through my whole musical career. But what's really good about that mindset is that it's totally scalable.
Ooh,
like,
nice.
You bring that mindset to the soccer arena show that we're talking about.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with the same kind of solutions where it's like, okay, well, we don't have, whether it's like we don't have a drum key to tune the drums, or it's like we don't have the crazy power line we need to go to bring the from front of house to the booth. I don't know, whatever it is. It's like you have to like think creatively and be solutions oriented, like on the spot, because it's like sometimes the show must go on.
Yes.
The show must go on, and you got to just do it as dirty as you got to do it to get to the end, to get to where you need to be.
I want to talk about another bag of tools, and that's music theory. So you called that out specifically when you were writing your little bio for me.
I don't remember that, but I like that.
Yeah, and so I want to know why. What do you love about music theory? Is it the tool set stuff? Is it like breaking down or communication stuff? What is it about music theory that made it be like, I want to talk about this?
It's honestly, it was sort of one of my first loves of music, which I didn't realize.
Because a lot of people find music theory really intimidating or scary or icky, or like it's going to ruin your art, your artistic like inner soul, because it's going to give you math.
I mean, look, if people want to believe that, respect, because it does change the way that you think about music 100%. For me, I always just wanted to know. I had all these questions because I took drum lessons, and it was like, we were reading music, but it's like drums, you're only really reading like rhythms and like placements, right? You're not like reading melodies and harmony. And so I had all these questions about rhythm. And so that was where I obviously built my foundation. And then I started taking guitar lessons. And also during this time, I actually started playing saxophone in like classical school band or whatever. So the combination of doing those two things at the same time, I had all these questions about like why notes are, you know what I mean? Like, what is this? What is a note,
Yeah.
And that many years later leads me down the path of like physics and audio, like audio technology, which I also love. But in this earlier stage, it was more like, okay, you take a song, right? It's like, what are these chords that are happening? How are they all related? And then this is sort of when my guitar teacher started being like, oh, well, you have this thing called a major scale, and it turns out that there's all these other scales, and they're all like related in all these crazy ways. And this started just getting me going. And this was kind of at the time that I was like discovering jazz too, which was really like what my background was in like high school, and I ended up going to jazz school, which that's a whole other can of worms that we don't have to open up. But I went to NYU, and during my time at NYU, I had some really amazing music theory experiences. Probably the highlights of which were I had this classical like theory and aural skills class with this guy Ramin Arjamand, who was a very deep guy. This sort of like pianist, avant-garde pianist, composer guy living from New York. I think he's from Queens, maybe, and he just had this really deep way of explaining theoretical stuff. And also with Stefan Harris, who is this like jazz vibraphonist who developed this whole listening system and these ways of approaching chords and melody. And basically the two of them had the overlap between those two was using emotion to identify certain musical concepts, like knowing where, because certain notes they kind of have a mind of their own in this way.
Yeah.
Which I started to realize when I was younger in these guitar lessons. I was like, why does that like sounds wrong, but when you play it next to something that sounds right, it makes them both sound even more right. Like what is that feeling?
Yeah.
And so for me, in this very scientific way, it's very satisfying to like understand why there are certain pulls to do certain things. And obviously it's very idiomatic too. It's like yes, we're talking about Western harmony, it's like,
right.
And there's all kinds of other bags that I have never truly opened up. And so like, but within the bag I know, it's like very classical, but then people are always breaking rules and breaking rules and breaking rules in these ways that create new things. And it's like, I just wanted to know, like, what are these rules that are being broken? How do I break these rules?
Mm-hmm.
I know what I like and I know what I don't like, but like, in order to push the envelope of what art can do and how I can relate to it, I want to know like how to break rules and how to abide when I feel like it's right, and how to break the rules when I feel like I'm caught up in something. So
the dude abides.
That's absolutely right. Got to abide the music theory.
But I like that though too. I think of it like gravity and also like seasonings, like we were talking about food earlier. But sometimes you like, even in a pop song, some of the best moments are like Beatles or something. These like, boom, we're changing, we're doing like a metric modulation.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the middle of nowhere, it's like, okay, we're pa now, or like we're gonna borrow this chord from this other scale that shouldn't be there, but for whatever reason, just works, and then the melody wraps around it in some sort of satisfying way. All those things.
It creates a feeling, right?
Yeah. It's a feeling. Right. And it hooks you. It brings you in. I feel like that's one of the things that's like a breath of fresh air, that dramatic surprise. It has its own energy, making an interesting choice.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's really what it's all about, right? It's like, you don't know. I don't know when I hear a song for the first time that I really like, I don't know exactly what kind of theoretical things happened that made me feel a certain way. I mean, at this point, I've done so much of this analysis. Maybe at this point I sort of do when it happens, but usually it's not. Usually it's like and especially for just like the average listener, you just feel a feeling and you respond to that feeling. You don't know that it's the diminished chord going to the minor chord at the end of the chorus that really really takes you there,
Yeah.
Maybe do after the fifth listen, you're like, oh, it's that.
Yes.
I love that.
Right.
But it's sort of the sum of all its parts that wash over you in this way. And yeah, I just always wanted to understand why, so I could not only apply it to my own creation and my own life, but also I'm just a very curious individual. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to learn new things, try new stuff. So yeah, I just felt like I was always asking those questions. And every time I would open a new door, there would be a whole vast new room of stuff to explore. And so I haven't really stopped opening the doors.
Great. Sorry to interrupt this very important broadcast, but it's time for one more advertisement. for myself for this podcast. What I'm asking for is for you to rate it 5 stars, share it with your friends. This is like the most important thing for this podcast to grow. So if you want to do this, you go onto the podcast screen, right? You click on the ... on Spotify. Under there, it says rate show, and you go and you click it. 5 stars. If you could do that for me, that's the best way for the algorithms and all this stuff to share it out with the world. I know that it's a lot to ask, but if you could please just hit those 3 dots and then a 5-star, it would really help us out and helps us, get the word out and spread the love of music. So thank you. If you're listening on YouTube, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. And here's the rest of the episode. And I think that music theory is one of those things that rewards you if you go that next step deeper. I think it's very easy to think it's musical math until you start going oh no, they were able to break this rule because of this really interesting voicing that they did, or oh, the bass is doing this chromatic thing that unlocks this whole extra bag that if the bass wasn't doing that, all of this would sound wrong, But other people just see it and they go, okay, I'm assigning numbers to everything. It's no, it's
but it kind of is that too.
okay,
Though.
okay,
I don't,
hit me.
I don't view that as a pejorative thing to be associated with math, because it is. It's so many concepts in music theory are so related to math and computer programming and science. The reason an octave is physics. So it's
Yeah.
that alone, when I learned that and learned that every interval in Western harmony sort of has this physical relationship between the Hertz values.
Yeah.
It's just wait, what? That's why Western harmony? When I learned that in college, or even I'm still learning about that, but when I learned the first bit about that, I was just absolutely blown away. And then all of a sudden, now I'm talking to all my math, computer programming, science buddies about dude, it's like this, and they're like, oh yeah, I knew it was like that, but I didn't know that's what music was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just a deeper way of relating to art and humans and just the way things are connected. And
I like that. I agree. One of my buddies, he does neuroscience, and he was studying seizures in mice. And his thing was inducing and then stopping seizures midstream, hopefully to be able to do the same thing in humans. It was all music stuff. It was all inverted waves. It was like noise canceling headphones, because basically what happens in a seizure, when you turn up the feedback knob on a delay pedal, and it just starts recursively going into itself. That's basically what's happening inside of your brain when somebody's having a certain type of seizure. Wow. And so if you intervene and you send a pulse of a wave that is exactly against that frequency,
exactly,
you can cancel it out, knock out the seizure.
Wow.
But it's all the same DSP stuff, digital signal processing, that powers our computer recording. So all the same stuff.
So he's probably doing Max MSP or something like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he was using all that stuff. Yep.
Wow, that's
crazy, right?
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is why we are supposed to interact as humans type shit. It's these are foundations of being. We're peeling back the secrets of the universe. I do kind of feel that way about music theory. It's sort of a hard. I guess it's a soft science, but it feels like the hardest science of music. Aside from synthesizers and audio.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man, that's great. Wow, I'm gonna be thinking about that seizure bit for a while. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. And I always think about that whenever I turn up the feedback knob. I'm I'm giving my computer a little seizure. Not to be trifled with.
That's funny.
Well, so I always end this podcast asking the same question. And I want you to take as much time and take this wherever you want to go with it. This is a very simple question, but sometimes it elicits very complex and interesting answers.
Okay.
Chef Harry T, why do you love music?
Oh, man, yeah, there's a lot of reasons. I guess some of it is what I was just saying about the theory stuff, about how it's peeling back what the universe has to offer, and the more you connect with that, the more you can connect with other humans, which is sort of the whole point, of existing, in my humble opinion. I also love that it has powers, it's this, art in general, but especially music, especially the way that aural sensitivity is connected to the brain, which is connected to the nervous system. It really has this healing power and this parasympathetic reactive quality that, for me, when I'm listening to music or making music, I experience in vastly different ways depending on what I'm doing. I love that people can make it theirs, like this is an especially interesting moment for that with all the digital streaming services and stuff, but it's like people don't do this as much with like painting and sculpture, like the fine arts. I guess people do this with books and reading and literature and poetry, but you can listen to it in your absolutely own way. You can create it in your own way. There's nothing stopping you, especially at this point, the way you said things are so democratized now. It's like anyone can pick up a little interface or a little recorder and just kind of go for it and see what happens. Any person can have any collection of records, CDs, cassettes, digital audio, be streaming, they'd be listening to music while they do stuff, or an active listening session where they're not doing anything. It's very personal, and it's yet another vehicle for humans to be able to connect with one another. And I'm not doing music things every second of every day of my life, but most of my favorite people, even especially non-musicians, it's a way to connect with people that I feel like doesn't exist. I mean, outside of music, I feel like there's food, which is like another one of my favorite things, because I think it's one of the most important ways you can connect with people. There's obviously, other arts, but I feel like they don't do the same thing. Maybe literature, but I feel like music has a bit. It's got this visceral reaction thing because of how immediate the sound stuff is connected to your brain. I guess same with smell, and taste, which is maybe why I say food. And like you could say like love, maybe, but like I don't know. That's a little more esoteric. I just think it's one of the most important things to facilitate the connection between people, which is really what it's all about for me. And, the breathing effect will get an occasional message is just like, hey, this song like really got me through a rough time, like someone in my family passed away or like a tough relationship or whatever. And this song was just on repeat. And it really like, thank you guys for making that. Like it really brought me through to my next phase of life. And that's really special for me. I mean, that's kind of like, it's not just like I'm doing it for the validation. It's just like, oh, I'm doing it for me, but it's also for you and it's for us together. And I just think that's beautiful. So beautiful. I guess that it's just a beautiful thing.
It really is. Yeah. It's something it's so cool that it can be both social and incredibly personal.
Totally.
It's addictive, man.
I know. And I got the bug.
I got the bug too. All right, where can people connect? I want them to be able to hear your record when it drops. I want them to hear your latest track. What's good?
I mean, the best way to keep up with me is Instagram. That's kind of the only place I have enough mental space to
It's wise.
Keep up with the posting. I can't
pick one, man. Yeah, that's
hard, man.
Wise. Yeah.
Add it to the list of hats I wear.
Totally.
Like digital content creator, which I never wanted to be, but
nobody does. Well, some people.
But yeah, so I'm always posting about shows and music on Instagram. You can find me there. You can find my band there. I'm on Spotify as a solo artist. Harry Terrell. That's me. My band is on all the streaming services as well. The Breathing Effect. So definitely look out for new releases there. And I got a myriad of projects I work with too that I'm always excited to support and shout out. So I'm starting a new band called Big World with my homie Aviv Goldgeier. So I'll send that your way when it's coming. And yeah, just send me a message. I'm friendly.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Harry.
Thank you, man. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. It's refreshing to refreshing. This is some refreshing perspective. So it's been a pleasure.